Hey everyone, it is Doug with the Wendibros, and obviously we are doing something a little bit different tonight. So we are going live on TikTok. Hello, Josias, three Chokus. So a little bit about ourselves. We are the Wendibros. We are a local paranormal investigative group located out in Tennessee. Hopefully everything's coming through and sounding okay tonight. And we typically go to conventions and we record folks that want to share their paranormal stories with us, and we call that "Share Your Weird." Sorry, I got the go live jitters on here too, so I'm trying to get accustomed to that. I think I sounded great before I went live, but now I sound like a dork, which is pretty par for course for the Wendibros. So, Wendibros, we actually started in 2023. John Fluce and myself, Doug, are the founding members of the Wendibros, and we are a team of five located out in Tennessee. More importantly, Northeast Tennessee. And we have covered quite a few cases, and I keep a lot of that. I always keep it handy right here. So we have our case files right here, and we are always willing to disclose those and talk about them and share them. And we can talk a little bit about that tonight while we wait on people to come on and hopefully share their weird. So if you have a paranormal story, we would love to hear it. Make sure that you request to join live, and we just ask that you be respectful, specifically in the chat while people are sharing their stories. And then also, if you're coming on, obviously, let's try to, be conscious of the guidelines that we have on here in TikTok land too. They can tend to be a little bit strict. But yeah. So this is actually kind of our roots a little bit. Usually, I have more members with me on that end, but this is where we kind of started within the podcast realm. So, but we are genuinely live. So you are live right now. So we actually have a case coming up this Saturday, and that's in Churchill, Tennessee. So we have Chasing Ravens, who have requested that we go out and go to essentially where they go and conduct a lot of their paranormal research. The difference between us and a lot of other paranormal investigators is that we truly are a skeptic group. John would probably be our most adamant believer, with me second on that, kind of being a skeptic and a believer. And the reason why I say that is that, in the past, I have witnessed and seen things that I can't necessarily explain, that if I had to call it anything, would be paranormal. And I scrutinize a little bit because, well, unfortunately, I meet a lot of sensationalists. We are a group that do not go out and actively, hey there, Ava, that girl. I hope you're doing well tonight. But we are a group that actually go out and debunk more than we try to prove, because we feel like if we go out there, we tend to believe more in the paranormal if we are actively going out there and debunking before we try to prove anything. And the reason why I say that is if you are able to eliminate all the causes and reasons for why something is happening, then you can kind of conclude that something is happening. So yeah, we've been doing this since 2023. Our recent, most probably largest case that we've had would be the Yura Shrine, which is a traditional Shinto shrine considered to be one of the most haunted spaces in Appalachia. We did not experience anything that we would call very supernatural. Now, it's not to say that there weren't things that weren't incredible that we experienced. Specifically, the dragon table. The dragon table was very, very compelling. Let me make sure I have the co-host on here too, just to ensure that, so that way anybody that's watching, if you have a paranormal story, we would love for you to join. All right. But yeah, so the dragon table was actually incredibly fascinating. So This was a table that was built decidedly dark, and it was actually pretty exciting because the way that they actually built this table was they used what they called magnetite. Magnetite is essentially a metallic composite that you would grind up. So you do have a magnetic compost on there too. So they built this table with that magnetite, but inside of it they actually put cursed objects, and they placed sacred objects, cursed objects, items that meant things to them. And then there were, from what we gather, pagan cultists and Satanists that had actually put BLOOD in there. I have to be very careful on the talk, so that way I don't get flagged on there too. But yeah, it was exceptional, because whenever we actually went there to actually investigate that, we had a compass, and so every position that we would place the compass, so you had you had a light side of the table, you had a dark side of the table, and then what we had was polarity, so essentially a north and a south on there too. And wherever we put the compass, and again, we wouldn't shift the compass any way that would be illogical or that could mess with it. The compass would always change directions depending on where you placed it on that table. And a lot of it had to do with the magnetite in there. And the odd thing, too, was that it was also used. What was the worst you experienced from paranormal spirits? The worst that I've experienced from paranormal spirits. So just to be clear, we are a group of skeptics. I did take a case out in Chickamauga, Georgia. So in Chickamauga, Georgia, there was an old antique shop there, and it was called the Shops of 1910. Now, as the Wendibros, and I haven't really shared anything, in my deep past that we've had there. Welcome TTV Onyx Fans X, and I think I saw Wasabi Continuum. So we went to the Shops of 1910. One of the most eerie things that I ever had to deal with was involved. Really, so we actually went in there trying to disprove it. So the owner's name was James, and so James was adamant about the place being haunted, and we wanted to test that theory because at the time we were really kind of worried about being known as sensationalists. So James asked us to go what used to be to a Freemason room that was upstairs. So within this Freemason room was where most of the hauntings were happening. That night, whenever we came back about a week later, whenever we investigated it, we actually found huge EVP spikes. Typically, we can dismiss EMF spikes. I got to get my head on straight. EMF spikes. So we were getting massive EMF spikes from these dolls, these old antique dolls. And we were able to debunk a lot of it as just electrical outlet issues and just, generally, just old building, old items. And so the dolls had absolutely no electrical components in them. Specifically, they were in cribs too. And they were old vintage antique cribs with no electronics attached to them either. And that's whenever everything kind of started going a little bit crazy for us. So we had massive EMF spikes. And we currently found a lot of lost footage that we had initially thought that we lost, which will be edited and uploaded onto our YouTube, and probably some clips onto TikTok as well. So we went into the Freemason room to end the night, and we began doing an EVP session. The worst thing I had was a spirit following me and me having red spots on my back and was tapping me. Okay. Alrighty. Where was that at? Are you willing to share that, or? And so we went to the Freemason room, and within the Freemason room, we start your basement. Okay. Were there any catalysts? What makes you think that it was a spirit? That's what I want to know. What made you think that it was a spirit in your basement? See, now I want to hear your story. Would you like to come on and talk about it? And again, no pressure. You don't have to talk about it. I was using a spirit box and was talking to a girl, and a spirit man came in and got attached to me. Okay, well that's very interesting. So in the shops of 1910, we actually had through a spirit box say that something was attached to me, and that was the most unsettling case that I've ever had to do within the Wendibros. Not to say it was the most unsettling thing I've ever dealt with, but within the Wendibros, that was definitely the most unsettling. So, whatever you had this spirit box going, and if you're comfortable talking about it again, no pressure. So my neighbors were helping me and got it away, and that night the man threw their water bottle at me at 2 a.m. Okay. So you were close to the witching hour. So you're saying that the spirit actually threw the water bottle at you? Is that what you're saying? In the basement? Was there anything that you were saying within the spirit box that could have been a catalyst for that to happen? No, it was your. Oh, it was at your neighbor's house. Okay. My neighbors were helping me and got it away. And that night, the man threw. Okay. So I'm trying to understand. So I know you said your basement at first, and then you stated it was at your neighbor's house. Was that were there two separate hauntings, or did somebody physically throw a water bottle at you? It was my first time, and I attached it to me and said stuff like I can move and letting it get to me. So, are you saying that you allowed the spirit to get attached to you? Is that what happened? It was my first time in attachment. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, don't ever do that. So don't ever do that. If anything says that they're attached to you, just go ahead and just fair warning, whether you believe or not, just go ahead and rebuke that. Just get that out of there. Never do that again. So that's words of wisdom from the Wendibros. So whenever I was at the shops in 1910, and I was actually doing a spirit box session and an EVP session, we actually had so if you want to believe it, there was something, an entity, let's just say that came through and stated that it was attached to me. And oh, Bug just gave me a like, thank you, Bug. I really appreciate that, Boogie. Um, and so whenever we were there, and it stated that it was attached, I said, no, I need you to remove yourself. And whenever I stated that, all the lights and all of our camera equipment went out at the same time, so everything went dark. And you can actually watch the footage on our TikTok if you haven't seen that, when the lights actually go out. And that was probably one of the most frightened moments that I've ever had. I don't know if frightened's the word, but just very, very unsettling. Elena, thank you for joining the TikTok live. We are the Wendibros, and we are talking about all things weird, paranormal, and strange. And if you have a story to share, we'd love to invite you in to tell that story. Welcome, Miller. And so and after we were trying to wrap it up, I was trying my best to. Oh, thank you for the follow, Elena. I really appreciate that. Is it bad to go live and don't that make spirits mad? I heard they don't like being on camera. No, so we're just live on here, so I don't I'm not live with anything paranormal. I got a few objects locked away over there. Hi, how are you? How are you? So with that, you hear about spirit photography and you hear about essentially ghost photography. The one thing that we've learned, and so whenever we went to the Euro Shrine recently, within the Euro Shrine, we ended up meeting a doll named Sally, and for Sally, you had to request. Thank you for the like, Elena. And for Sally, we had to actually ask permission to take her picture. And so what we found was during that investigation, it wasn't really anything too strange, but the camera kept shifting as whenever we would leave the room to Sally. Sally? Okay. So are you familiar with the Euro Shrine, or? Yeah, I keep a few items locked away, and then we have one downstairs too. So But don't worry, we have a cross and a Bible in there too. So yeah. You see her on videos, not her eyes, though. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we're talking about the same Sally. So Sally is not what they would consider to be anything malevolent. In fact, it's actually the opposite. I would say that she's benevolent. It's just that she looks for respect on that. So we asked Sally, if we can take her picture, and we didn't really capture anything too abnormal. Actually, nothing abnormal at all. And then we did solo lockaways within the scrying room. And so within the scrying room, we just kind of sat there and waited. We don't really go in there to try to tempt or disrespect anything too. Is Sally a girl that died called Sally's House? Welcome to the live D Hayek. Called Sally's House that Sam and Colby went to. No, I don't think Sam and Colby have ever been here have ever been there. So this is a completely different doll. Let me see if I can actually do a display capture, and then what I can do. And then for anybody that's joining, we are doing live stories tonight. So if you do have a story to share, let me know in the chat. I'll invite you in, and you can discuss your story, talk about anything paranormal. If you have anything paranormal or strange that has happened to you, I'd love to hear about it. Let me see if I can find Sally the doll for you and capture that. So I promise you, it's all dolls are typically a little bit creepy and a little bit scary, but there's anything completely malevolent about that too. So, all right. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull old Sally up. So I haven't really watched a lot of anything from Sam and Colby, to be honest with you. We try to get away, and it's nothing to knock them or really cast stones. We don't really buy into a lot of the sensationalism. You should show Wendy Bendy. I don't know if anybody's ready for Wendy Bendy yet. Maybe we can show Wendy Bendy, and maybe we'll even do an episode on Wendy Bendy. Wendy Bendy is you agree, Elena? Yeah, we just try to stay away from a lot of the sensationalism. So let me see here. So I'm trying to pull that up. Screwy Louie, welcome. How are you doing tonight? I love the name. Let's see here. I'm having trouble finding Sally. So I'm not on my MacBook right now, so that's where I usually keep everything. I'm on my pesky old Windows computer. All right, and what I'll do is I'll just do a quick screen grab. Let's see here. Let's do a visual search. I do like that the first thing to hop up on Bing are the Wendibros, so. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll try to see if I can show you Sally within there too. So, poor Wendy would probably fall apart. Wendy would probably fall apart. So Wendy Bendy is a doll that we found from an antique store, and I always say that she's a very unfortunate doll. Nothing inherently paranormal. Let's see here. I've got Sally pulled up. Let me just see if I can add that as a source. Window capture. All right. Okay. So I'm not sure how well you can see her right here. I'm probably moving everything around. Lives are always difficult, right? Especially whenever you're trying to get overly technical. So this right here is actually Wendy Bendy. I don't like doll because then I got to go right to say sorry. I get that a lot, but I think the sorry thing did come from Robert the Doll. But you kind of see that on every paranormal Yeah, it's perfectly fine to look at her. I would say Sally certainly likes the camera attention. We found that out that night. So interestingly enough, is whenever we had our investigation into the Euroshrine, we actually were trying to think of Robert the Doll, and we couldn't for the longest time. And so during that, we actually ended up having, through our Spirit Box app, come through and tell us that my name is Robert. So we think that we may have actually touched base with Robert on that end too. So hello, Hunter. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the live. And again, if you're just joining in, we are the Wendibros. We are a paranormal investigative group located in Northeast Tennessee. And we go after all things strange and weird. So if you do have a paranormal story to share, you're welcome to come on live and tell that story to anybody watching or listening. Don't have a lot of viewers in here yet. Hello, Mia Dell. Hope you're doing well. So if you can kind of see right there, but yeah, that is Wendy. So they keep her in a casket that used to be used in an old mortuary. I can tell you the shrine itself, though, is actually relatively peaceful, despite what you're seeing on the video. I don't think that there's anything malicious inherently there. I think that it's what you give is what you get out of it, is what I would say about the shrine. Oh, sorry, Sally. You see, you got me talking about Wendy Bendy. Got me talking about Wendy Bendy. Yeah, Sally. That is Sally. Sorry, Sally. So you got me confuzzled. Got me confused. Her hand looks like she is a rock person. A rock person. I think that she's just a porcelain doll. So, what draws you all to the paranormal? What do you like about the paranormal? Do you like the paranormal? Does it fascinate you, or is that something that you've been interested in? Oh, a rock person, like like metal, rock and roll. I think she looks like a Quaker. Let's see here. Let me see if I can actually just cut that down. We can just play that in the background. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash out on me. Yeah, we can cut that in. I'm sure my live is going crazy right now. Like, what is he doing moving all this stuff around? I'll have it all fixed up eventually. All good things have to start somewhere. Yeah, so we'll play our investigation right here into the Euroshrine. We'll move Wendibot to the side, that way you all can see it a little bit better. Wendibot, you get right over there. Just stay right over there, Wendibot. There you go. When I first had my experience, when I went into my neighbor's house, they felt so much bad energy. Thankfully, it is gone. Really? Okay. How did you get rid of the negative energy? Are you able to share that? Is there anything that was a catalyst on that end that caused that bad energy to be there, or was there any kind of removals that you all did? You have a story? Do you want to come on and share it? Mailman 1967, thank you for joining the live. We are the Wendibros, sharing all things weird tonight. We used to use... Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and invite you in there. We used to use holy water and this loud sound that dogs can hear. Wow. All right, so bear with me. I'm used to OBS, and I'm in TikTok Live Studio right now. So let me see if I can get you in here. All right. Okay. All right.
Hi.
Hey, Elena, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. What's going on? What's paranormal? What's weird tonight?
Well, with me, it's everything. I've had a
Uh,
gift since I was a kid,
okay.
but it's taken, I'm 62 now, but it's
Mm-hmm.
taken years to grow, and develop. It changes. But I have sight, I have hearing, third eye. I mean, I can get what they're thinking. I can translate. It's overwhelming sometimes. But I could tell you a story of something that happened to me when I was younger, before
Mm-hmm.
I had it under control.
Okay. About how old were you at that time? Do you mind? Or do you care
I
to share?
was, yeah, no, I want to say I was like 21, 22.
Okay.
So it was
Okay.
a long time ago.
And
But,
I don't. I
and
don't.
I've got,
I don't mean to interrupt you, Elena. What I
no,
was going to say
no.
is Ava. We'll get to you just as soon as Elena shares. But I do have you muted right now, just to make sure we respect Elena's story, and then we'll do the same thing too, just so we don't have everybody talking over. So.
I've got lots of them, but I think probably one of the interesting ones for me. I was in my bedroom at home,
Mm-hmm.
and I had earlier been in. I had a little room set up next to mine that was, well, just down the hall actually. There was a meditation room. I can go in and do yoga and just relax and such. And
Mm-hmm.
right by the door, as you walked in, on the wall to the left, there was a little family plaque, like it had a family crest on it, and some words on it. And it was hung. There was like 4 by 6. It was a little hard plaque that my mom had gotten, and I hung it there by the door. And I had been in there praying. I had decided, all right, I'm gonna just go rest. So I head to the bedroom. I left the door open, and I suddenly hear this crash in the hallway. And I go and look, and this plaque has now gone somehow miraculously out the door and into the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this doorway is not like facing opposite. It's on the right side. So it would have to turn a corner to get out the door and down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked it up, and it was probably about 3 feet into the hallway. So I picked it up and I put it back on the wall, and I walked back to the bedroom. Not 30 seconds after I got into the bedroom, bang again.
Okay. Wow.
And I walked out, and here it is back in the same spot. Picked it up, put it back on the wall, and this time I pulled the door closed and left it just about 2 inches, 2 inch gap. I didn't close it all the way. Just wanted to see what happened. Went back to the bedroom, and same thing. 30 seconds later, bang. I went out, and this thing is probably 5 feet out from where it was. And I looked at the door. The door hadn't budged.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is, got it off the wall, put it through the crack, and tossed it down the hallway.
Did the plaque?
And
And you said this was a plaque, correct?
yeah, like a little plaque.
Did it have any kind
And
of like serious significance to you or anything?
no, it's just a family plaque.
Okay.
Nothing. I think they were just trying to get my attention. But I put it back, and I said, all right, this time I'm closing the door. So I closed
Yeah.
the door, and I walk back into my bedroom, and I sit on the bed, and I'm thinking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I turn to my right, and I had mirrored closet doors.
Mm-hmm.
And standing in the mirror is this old hag looking woman. And I will tell you that she looked absolutely solid. The only thing was that she was in black and white, like in scales of gray.
Okay. Huh.
And I looked at her, and she had the just stringy long hair and kind of hunched over. She had a walking stick, and she wore a cloak. And she's just staring at me and staring at me. I got up and I started walking over to her, and I was going to put my hand right through her. Like, I'm not afraid of you, whoever you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And she just disappeared. Just literally disappeared.
So did she almost like essentially like phase out, or did she like was it a
No,
gradual
no, no. She just,
disappearance?
she just
Just wasn't there
gone.
anymore. Huh.
Just wasn't there anymore. Like she just bolted out of there. I mean, it wasn't like a slow fade. It wasn't. There was no fading at all. She just boom disappeared, like if
Right.
somebody had turned off a switch.
That's really
And
strange. Do you think you know what may have caused that, or do you think it could have been something like sleep paralysis? I know that
no, I was wide awake.
Okay,
I was
yeah,
wide awake. No, this thing, whatever it was, and again, I was young. I was just coming into my gifts and my abilities, so I really
hmm,
didn't understand. I couldn't read them like I can now. Um,
right,
now I'd probably be able to tell you her name. I'd probably be able to tell you where she's from.
hmm,
But back then I didn't. Um, and there was a lot of other occurrences, but that one, that one creeped me out because it was the first time that I had seen one so clearly. I mean, I can walk down the street and I just see them everywhere.
So this is
I'm one of
something.
those.
Okay, so that's something that you still have common occurrences
Yeah.
with.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, I do.
what do you think causes that? Do you
I
think?
like. I'm looking at you
Hmm.
on the video.
Sure.
I can see a big one right by you and about six surrounding you.
Oh, that's not good. Well, dude, oh no, I have terrible anxiety. You shouldn't have told me that.
One
Uh,
right at your shoulder, and there's actually one in front of you.
oh, okay. That's probably why my shoulder
Uh,
hurts. So,
oh, really?
yeah, no.
No, don't tell me that.
Oh, they've been hurting all day. I'm getting older, so um,
But yeah,
okay. Well, hopefully they don't mean me any harm, and there's nothing malevolent there.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
you're absolutely fine. They just hang out.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. As long as they're just hanging out, it's fine. It's okay. It's funny though. I had somebody try to tell me about my past life, and I told them I didn't want to know about it. So, um,
Yeah,
so
I don't do readings.
do you consider yourself a psychic medium, or do you consider yourself clairvoyant, or what do you think these things are? Do you think that they are spirits? Do you think that they're residual beings that are phasing into our dimension, or
I can tell you what I've been shown because I did eventually, as I developed, was communicated to through a guide. Um, I when I started getting the first communication I ever got, and then I'll explain what I think it is. All right,
hmm,
was a voice, and because I would always say, "Why do I have this gift? Why do I have to deal with this kind of stuff?" And I hear somebody say to me, "Corinthians 12,"
hmm,
and I'm like, "What the hell was that?" I've never picked up a Bible in my life, ever, ever.
okay,
I was not faithful. I believe there's something out there, but I never in my life followed any religion. And
hmm,
I had to go and get my mother's Bible. And I pulled it out and I looked up Corinthians 12 and I heard 7 through 12. So I went and 7 to 11, sorry. So I started reading it and it talked about people who are born with certain abilities, including the ability to discern between the good and the evil
hmm.
and even translate. And I'm like, what the hell? How did I? Somebody really did tell me to look at this, didn't they? Because I would never have pulled that up. I had no idea what it was. And over time, what I have been shown, and that's all I can tell you is what I've been shown and what I see. Other people have a lot of theories out there, and it comes from a lot of misconceptions, past misconceptions.
Hmm. So,
When the spirit dies, okay, either it has the proper a balanced energy,
hmm,
okay, balanced frequency. So, in other words, your soul isn't fractured in any way.
hmm,
All right, those people will pass and cross over to the next realm.
hmm,
What some people call it heaven, some people call it the beyond, some people say it's another dimension. It's a place. It's a place out there in space, far, far away. Then there are those souls who, for whatever reason, are fractured. Their energy has been fractured either by their own misdeeds, or by supernatural attacks, because people are haunted. There are people that are haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you've heard the term people feeding off your energy, those spirits feeding off your energy.
Yeah, energy vampires.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but
Yeah.
the dead in general, through hauntings and putting fear into you.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, people who are weaker are more susceptible to attack, and their energy can be fractured by them.
Right.
Their frequencies are lowered. They go to a lower level. When those people pass, once they're that damaged and they pass, they can't cross over anymore. They
Yeah.
can't go into the light, so to speak.
You know,
And they're stuck.
I was going to say real quick. Ava asked a question to you. What animal is your guide?
I don't have an animal guide.
Okay,
I have a guardian from above.
Okay, okay. So,
That-
so getting back onto the topic from that, you know, we actually just did an interview with the Abby Normal podcast, and we had a call in that night, and she was saying a lot of the same things that you were, and I believe that her name was Crafts and Brews. I'm not sure what exactly. I'm not sure exactly what her name was, but she did subscribe to us on YouTube. So, and one thing that I brought up to her was I asked her if she believed in frequencies and specifically lower and higher frequencies, and I think that's what plays into a lot of it. So that if you are a lower frequency, you know, you're more susceptible to anything that's negative coming your way, and then, you know, obviously raising your raising your vibration, higher frequency, of course, that, you know, is ascension on that end. I practice a lot of meditation, as much as I should. Probably not as much as I used to, as much as I need to. So you say that it comes from a higher power. Where
there is a higher power out there.
Yeah. So since, like, I know that you said you didn't believe anything before, did your concept of that change once all this started happening?
Yes.
Especially with the Corinthians. So do you think that it was God speaking to you, or angels speaking to you, or?
Well, here's the thing. If you look at, you've got the Old Testament, and I never really go into it a lot because I don't subscribe to the church, so to speak. But you've got the old religion, the Old Testament. You've got Christ, the story of Christ. He starts the Catholic Church, which is commandeered by the Roman Catholics, who kind of miscued the book. Let's put it that way. They really just skewed everything in there. But religion is one of those things that throughout history it was meant to be, and has been for many people, a way to guide them, to help them sustain a certain lifestyle, to keep their frequencies up, to guide them towards a healthy lifestyle for your soul. All right, I'm not saying it works every time, but in the next transition, as people develop, the world changes, they become aware that there are other ways to do it besides through that type of faith. And there will come a time when religion and science will become one.
You know, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned. It's funny that you mentioned that, because, you know, I do believe in God, and I do believe in a higher power.
Absolutely.
But I'm also definitely a man of research. I'd also believe in the science, and you know, and I believe in the modern miracles of science. But I've always said that if anything, science will eventually correlate with what we know as mysticism. And then I think, if anything, science will only bring us closer to God eventually. And that's just my opinion on the Wendibros. So,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And that's what they told me, is that our science, it's going to be a long time. Our science is not developed, and will not for centuries, to the point where we can understand this type of physics or quantum physics, so to speak, because that's how they explain it. Use quantum physics to understand this.
So
Um,
we had a case out in Florida, and this was a an individual that had been, according to her, she was working in a hotel one night, and they were doing a lot of nefarious things there, and so she believed that she had been actually shot and unalived, and that she was able to come back fairly rapidly. But whenever she came back, she her timeline was different. So her anniversary to her husband was different. Her former job positions were not the ones that she thought that she had held. She had a different friend group, and it was just very strange, you know. And there's a lot that we've debunked. There's a lot that we don't really believe whenever we get certain cases. That was one that we could not prove, but I can tell you, whenever we started looking into that, the more, you know. And it's funny that we use this
right.
word, but we began to spiral a little bit, and so we kind of treated it like a spiral, which led us to. Are you familiar with the theory of quantum immortality?
No, I'm not.
So quantum immortality is that every time that, you know, your existence, you know, ceases here, is that you will enter into an immediate new existence, and so that, you know, life is typically never ending in that regard too. And then so we got so deep into it that we began looking at the idea of DNA, where it's a double helix or a
Right.
spiral, and DNA has actually been proven through modern science to actually retain memories of, you know, your ancestors. So it could equate to uh,
Absolutely.
past life revelations on that too. So I do appreciate the fact that you bring science into this. Most people I talk to, and not to say like you, but most people that I talk to that, you know, exhibit your gifts, or express your gifts. You know, if you consider it a gift, you know, the last lady I talked to on Abby Normal, she considered it to be a burden. But I don't know how much of her understanding was from that, or how bad her frequency might be on that end. Um,
Right.
but
Well,
it is very fascinating on that end too. It's so. Do you believe in reincarnation?
yes, and what I've been shown is that as the soul travels up and out, and again, what I was finishing saying is the ones that are left behind, okay,
Hmm.
they can never cross. You'll see people saying, "Oh, do you see the light? Walk into the light, and you'll be able." No, they can't.
Hmm.
And those spirits just trick you and say, "Oh yeah, we see the light. Oh yeah, I'm a kid and I'm going into." No, they can't. They're stuck here. This is what being left behind is being damned, for lack of a better word.
Hmm.
Those spirits that go up, they go into an area where they will rest and then reincarnate. They go into another life. They do reincarnate,
Hmm.
and the cycle continues. They don't necessarily reincarnate back on Earth. They could be reincarnate on another world, on another civilization. I mean, there's billions out there all over the place. So it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that they're coming back to Earth. All right. But they do reincarnate. They absolutely do.
So, what do you think that the spirits are here? Yeah, I know that you, and unfortunately, you said that there's a bunch around me right now. What do you think that they are? Like the ones that are here right now that
The
haven't
one, the one,
reincarnated.
they can't. They can't ever. They are literally in hell.
Okay,
They
so
are literally left behind. They can't cross over. They come from levels of being plagued, or people who are damaged, all the way through those that are so evil that eventually over the time that they're there in hell can even become demons.
hmm
That's
yeah.
what's left behind on earth.
And the lady that I talked to on Abby Normal, she actually said that the word demon, the way we understand it's a lot different. That essentially it's just the former living that have such low frequencies that they feed on the energy of the living.
They they all do that.
Hmm.
The demons, however, are far more powerful. They're far bigger.
Hmm.
They're the ones that command them. They're the ones that tell them what to do. They're the ones that keep them on the short leash. They even devour each other's energies.
Hmm.
All right, they will. The bigger ones can devour the smaller ones. You don't want to piss off your handler up
Yeah.
there or out there, because they will devour you, and they're scared to death. I've had them communicate with me. I've had them. gone out. Well, I shouldn't say go out, but through here, I've gone along with some people, and I can hear them, and
Mm-hmm.
I can hear them trying to. Oh my God, there was one I gotta tell you. I lost it, and I don't ever lose it. But there was this man saying, "Oh, I'm." He was saying he was a little girl, and they were saying, "Oh, what happened to you?" Her name was Mariah, and I had just popped in when that happened, and she starts talking about, a man hurt me, and I picked it up right away. I said, and I typed it in. I said, so and so, that is not Mariah. That is the man that hurt her.
Mm.
That man kidnapped her. He took her. He essayed her. He made her suffer. I lost it with him.
Oh my goodness.
I absolutely lost it. I said, "You son of, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Stop lying to these people. I see right through you. I see who you are. You are." And all of a sudden, he starts tossing shit on the table. I mean, tossing. And he was so furious that I called him out, and I ruined his fun because he was enjoying doing that to someone. He was having fun reliving everything he did to her, playing her part for someone who was doing an investigation.
So, whenever you say throwing
Just to
things,
show you.
was this entity actually like throwing physical objects? Is that what you're?
Yeah, it took he had this little pony
Mm-hmm.
on the table,
Mm-hmm.
and it started. I mean, he was pounding it up and down on the table. It was bouncing around and pushing it around, and the guy was he was furious that I literally ruined his game. They get off on doing that. They get off on getting your sympathy and drawing you in and having you, take the bait. And then the next day, of course, you're looking for this kid again. And the next day, oh, are you still here? And they're laughing. They're sitting there laughing at how they're tricking these people. And I mean, I've seen some evil stuff out there, but this one just, I lost it. I completely lost it. I just could not help it. Anybody who hurts a child like that, and he disappeared. He absolutely he left. He left because I'd called him out.
Oh, wow.
But that's what you're dealing with out there.
Right. Well,
That's
it
your
reminds me whenever we actually investigated a place called the Euroshrine here in Appalachia, and it's a traditional Shinto shrine, and it's a beautiful place. And so so the way that it's described, it's almost like a pass through of spirits is the way he describes it, and that it's also a purification temple. And then one thing that he warned us about, in fact, it was the only thing that he actually warned us about whenever we went in there to do our investigation, was that if we were to be contacted by a relative or contacted by a family member or someone that was a loved one or somebody, just speaking as a person, that he warned that that's not who we think it is. Is that kind of the
he's
same?
right.
Okay.
He's
And,
absolutely right.
and he said that you can engage, but just be careful. And so I just flat out said I'm not going to engage.
And that's anywhere you go. I don't care if it's a shrine, if it's in your door, in your house, at a cemetery. Don't ever trust them, especially if you knew the person was a good person. Okay, and I notice I don't use the word faithful. If you know there was a good person, a person with a good spirit, someone who was happy, who wasn't troubled,
They're not here
for you to
anymore.
go out, they're not here anymore.
Hmm.
If they tell you that's who they are, they're lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're a child 6 years old, 5 years old, that type of thing, they're lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
They are lying because children will pass because they're still pure of heart and soul. Now, when you get into some of these kids that are 12, 13, 14, that are already troubled, violent, then that's a possibility. But when they tell you that they're a child or they're a relative that they don't come back to visit. Once they're over, they can't cross back.
Okay.
And these that are here want to cross over, and the war they're waging is to find a way to get out of here and get up there. They can't get there. And there is a spiritual war going on right now out there.
Yeah,
between the light and the dark.
I would say just turning on the news here lately, you can kind of see that there's a
Hmm.
lot of strange things going on. That's for sure. What are your thoughts on all the UAP stuff right now? Do you think that there's any kind of correlation or
You
relation to
mean
that?
like UFOs type thing?
Yeah, I suppose like right now
Aerial
we're
phenomenon?
yeah, so we're kind of within I guess what we keep hearing is about is a UFO disclosure, and we interviewed somebody that was an experiencer is what she called herself, and and that she was able to communicate with these extraterrestrial beings from different planets. What do you what are your thoughts on
I
that?
can
What
tell
are
you what I've seen.
okay?
I can tell you what I've seen. All right. I've seen them in the sky. I've seen orbs.
Hmm.
I've seen small objects that look solid flying around. I lived in the DC area
Hmm.
and saw plenty of stuff. Do you remember those pyramids over the Pentagon?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, they've shown up in other places.
Hmm.
And people say, oh, they look solid. I look into it and I can see them in it
Hmm.
because they can manifest themselves in any shape, way, or form. I've seen objects that look solid. I put my hand right through. I've seen them literally, and I got to look and see if I have images, but I've seen them look like an alien and then morph into something else.
Yeah, so we talked to a psychic, and she had claimed that the way we perceive them as extraterrestrial or aliens is that you could look at them more as fourth dimensional beings.
They they will show themselves. Any of these things will show themselves in whatever you are vulnerable to.
Hmm.
So if you believe in UFOs, they're going to show themselves as alien to you.
Hmm.
They can tap your mind because I've seen them actually tapping somebody's mind, putting images in there, putting ideas, I mean, through sleep, they can just come and visit you and put an entire thing into your head and you will swear it was real. You will swear it was real. Now, this is my experience. Now, I've also seen them looking like almost what some people might describe as a Sasquatch.
Hmm. And
And
I've
I've
actually heard
seen,
that before.
yeah, I've seen them shake the branches, shake a tree, leave a footprint, and then suddenly jump into a tree and disappear. And it's them. I see them because I can see their true nature underneath. So, from my experience, all of these things that people are experiencing around the world, it's all the same thing. It's just how they present themselves and what they are doing it for. For most of us, is the mystery. What is their end game? What is it just their survival, the energy that they're trying to lower the planetary frequencies and energy so they could survive? Or are they playing games for nothing other than just to
Hmm.
screw around with people? It's a mystery that I don't think we'll solve anytime soon. But I do know that the majority of them is that. I mean, it's like a human being. They all have two arms, two legs, a face, but we portray ourselves to our fellow human beings as different things. We wear costumes, we wear certain types of clothes, we put on makeup, everybody's a different color. They do the same thing, they put on a different face. And
So do you think that they're just kind of, and also I just wanted to interrupt real quick. I don't want to,
no, no, please.
I want to welcome Pin Paranormal to the live. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you in here tonight. We are doing Share Your Weird. So if you have any paranormal stories and you'd like to come on and talk, this is the place to do it. So we are the Wendibros, a Northeast Tennessee-based paranormal group, and to everyone that has, no, thank you, and to everyone, especially with Sabi Continuum in there, and including you, Elena. Thank you for the hearts, and thank you for I think roses and corn. So thank you for the corn in there too. So it's always weird on TikTok because you always have to thank them for the strangest things. But so one thing, and I guess going back to the Euroshrine, and one thing that he said is that these entities that he has ran into is that essentially, thank you for the like spin paranormal. So the entities that he has ran into and has seen things happening is that he almost said, he would attribute it in modern days to a computer hacker, and so like they could essentially like Google search you in the spiritual realm, and then play on what you like and perceive. So one thing I
That's a
did,
great way.
yeah,
A
yeah.
great way
Kraken
to
Paranormal,
explain
thank
it.
you for joining. So if you have any weird stories or anything paranormal that you'd like to share, hop in. We'd love to discuss shop with you guys. We've had
And I will add. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say we do have Elena on right now discussing quite a fascinating conversation. So thank you, Elena, so far.
Yeah, I was just going to add to something to what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of people will, and I watch them, and they'll say, "Well, is this my husband? Tell me something only I would know, or
Mm-hmm.
tell me something only you would know about me." And I'm like, that isn't a test. They've been following you around. They know who's been following you around. They have a hive mind. They can even tell each other, "Oh, tell her he calls her Cookie or something."
Mm-hmm.
They know everything because look at, I just told you there's all those around you. You don't think they know the conversation we're having? You don't think they know the conversation you might have privately with your wife? They do, and they communicate it. And then they give you this whatever spiel you need to believe in that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they hack your life. They hack your life.
So
They're in,
how do you protect against something like that?
you don't you increase your energy,
Mm-hmm.
you heighten your frequencies, you live a good solid life. Meditation, that is the only thing. There are no objects that can stop them.
Mm-hmm.
There is this thing with dolls. They can't be bound into a doll. They're not stuck in a doll. They just put themselves over and they give you a creepy face to make it look like they're in there and they leave.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing you can do other than live a good life, and they will not bother you.
Mm-hmm.
They won't. They can't get to you. They can play around with you through investigations and things, and that you can communicate with them that way, but they can't hurt you. They can't hurt your soul. All right. Can they hurt you other ways? Yeah, I've seen them throw things. Look what happened to me.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen things
that's an incredible
thrown.
story. Yeah, Pin Paranormal, to answer your question, you missed the start of the conversation. Who hacks your life? So, whenever we recently investigated the Euroshrine in Bristol, Tennessee, Rick, who is the Shinto shrine keeper, he informed us that, and he put it in modern terms that because we asked him if there was any form of warnings that we would need before actually going in there and investigating the shrine after our interview with him. And he stated that the way that we have to look at it in terms of the paranormal is that if there's anything in there that could be potentially pretending to be a loved one, a friend, essentially a spirit that is seeking attention, that it would be he just said that's not them, and don't engage and
Exactly.
try not to engage with them, and that essentially they're going to tell you anything that you want to hear. And the way he called it was ghost Google. So they would ghost Google you, and essentially pull up all of your information within the spiritual side of things. And
Hmm.
so that way they would know everything about you. So they would tell you everything that you want to hear. I thought that was a very fascinating analogy and a way to put it. To which for Rick, I just said if anything like that comes through, I'm just not going to engage. Yeah, I thought it
And
was pretty
the,
interesting.
the other thing that people have to be careful with is you'll put out the equipment, the EMF, and all these
Mm-hmm.
meters and things, and you say, well, if anything gets within a foot, it'll set it off. And hey, could you get close to it and set it off if you're here? And I'm watching them literally standing on top of it,
Yeah.
literally standing on top of it. They'll set it off if they want to set it off, and if they don't want to set it off, they're not going to set it off. It has nothing to do with their proximity. It has to do with will they match the frequency needed to set it off. So
What
it's
locations
very
have
deceptive.
you said that you were in Washington D.C. at one point, and I actually used to live in
Uh-huh.
Washington D.C. What locations have you investigated, and what would you consider to be the most haunted
I,
location, or the
you
most?
know,
I don't know if haunted is the right word. We don't really call a lot of things haunted. But
Yeah.
it's but what would you consider a location that would be a hot spot for you?
Now, here's my big problem. By the time I started understanding what I was doing, I had never gone out on investigations. Okay, I
Hmm.
just saw them everywhere.
Right.
Literally, I mean, I could be walking down the street and I could see them crowded around any place you were. I've seen them in a church. I've seen them at accidents. I've seen them. I see them everywhere. I don't need to go investigate them.
Yeah.
But by the time that I was interested enough in going out to investigate, I had built my frequencies up so much that they couldn't get near me.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I could literally can walk down and watch them part away from me. They wouldn't get any closer. Now that I can't get them within a mile of me. So for me to do an investigation, half the time I have to go through TikTok, and I'll have some people that I've dealt with, and I know will say, "Hey, we're going on an investigation. Will you come and look and tell us what you see, or communicate that way?" But there, I could tell you there is a lot out there that's stronger energy than others, and a lot of it has to do with the land.
Hmm.
One of the places when you said you were in Appalachia, go to West Virginia, go to the coal mines. That area, that the coal in the land keeps the frequencies and the energy very low. So they are all over it.
I
Um,
often talk to people about West Virginia, and they probably roll their eyes at me with how much I talk about West Virginia. So I've used to work in West Virginia,
oh,
and you talk about, and I always tell people like it's almost like the Middle Earth of the United States in a weird way.
yes, it is.
It's a very strange place, very peculiar. There's so many abandoned buildings, and some of the buildings that look abandoned aren't even abandoned. It's just a very haunted feeling place.
I
And,
can
and
I
I,
can
and,
feel the energy shift.
it's a very strange place, and some of the pictures that I was sending my wife of West Virginia whenever I was working out there, I mean, you talk about thick blankets of fog, weird effigies, weird statues in the middle of nowhere, and it made zero sense to me as to why things would be there. But those folks out there that were so ingrained and embedded out there with what they had seen, what they believe, and don't go out at a certain hour. And you hear a lot about the mythology of Appalachia, and and around here in Appalachia, we tend to roll our eyes at it quite a bit. Don't whistle at night, don't do this, don't answer
Yeah,
back. That
that's
that's a bunch of nonsense to kind of
yeah.
put it bluntly. But I would say in West Virginia, I would say be guarded. Absolutely, be guarded in West Virginia.
Yep, I can. I've driven through. I've gone to West Virginia. I've driven through it, through the mountains, going westward, and I can tell you that I could feel the energy shift driving through Appalachia. You could feel the energy shift, and it affects the population. A lot of the troubles that they see, that they experience in their day life, is affected by what they're surrounded by.
Hmm.
And I don't mean just the energy from those spirits that are left behind, but the energy of the land itself
Yeah.
that's there. Another place that is very similar in energy, and I have not been out there, but I can tell you just from the sensations that I get whenever I see images, video, when I do a reading, is do you know where the Stanley Hotel is out in is it Colorado?
Yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with
Where
it.
yeah, that nasty energy in there.
Hmm.
Another place that has a lot going on is the area up in Maine and that end of Canada, Nova Scotia. You're going to find a lot. I mean, if you want to investigate, I mean, just sit out in the park and put a tripod, a REM pod out there, and you'll get stuff.
Hmm. What do you think that it is about those areas
In
in particular?
Louisiana,
Yeah, Louisiana is absolutely on my bucket list, and I
yep,
always tell my team that we're going to be in Louisiana one day, and really I just want to go to the entire area. I want to chase down voodoo, hoodoo, vampires, you name it. I want to go find it. If I'm going to find anything, it's going to be Louisiana. What do you think it is about the North that makes it such a hot spot? Because I do talk to a lot of Canadian counterparts, Canadian paranormal teams,
uh,
and they say the same thing: is that Canada doesn't really get talked about enough in the paranormal world, but they say that there's quite a few hot spots out there. What do you think it is?
You know,
And honestly, Maine, Pennsylvania, but I'm looking at Penn Paranormal out here, but we've been invited out by the Baltimore team for Baltimore Hotel. What do you think it is about those northern areas that attract that?
what I would tell you is you're into science.
Hmm.
If you were to visit some of these spots or know people that can do it, I'm sure there's got to be equipment out there that will measure
Hmm.
the magnetics of the Earth, the area that you're in. It will measure the type of energies or frequencies going on around you. So prior to investigating the paranormal, I would suggest you do that type of investigation because a lot of the energy that they thrive on, that they're drawn to, will come from the Earth's energy, its magnetics, its energy field.
Hmm.
And when it's very low vibration, very low energy, low frequencies, it is going to draw them in more. And I would challenge you to go out there and do some measuring around West Virginia versus going to a place like, well, Sonora in the Arizona desert, and see the difference between a place like that and Sonora. Look at Louisiana, do the same type of measurements, and see what you can correlate to your investigations.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what we always try to go for first is really the science behind of what we're feeling.
Yep.
We've investigated a few places. We actually have one coming up I think that's an emoji, but thank you for joining. If emoji, and just to say to Penn Paranormal, I am so sorry. I assumed we are familiar with Pennsylvania Paranormal, and then you're from Kansas, so I'm sorry about that. So yeah, the name threw me off a little bit. So we always try to look at the science behind it before we actually go in there, trying to, obviously chase spirits, chase the supernatural. And then, the one thing that we always try to tackle more than anything is just the paranoia of the place. Um,
Yep.
and one thing that we have found that within certain areas is that how claustrophobic they are. How's the setup? If you go into a dilapidated building, if it's very enclosed, not every old building that's run down is going to be haunted. And I think that's the common misconception is whenever you see a creepy old building, you automatically assume that it's scary and it's haunted. And naturally, we're engineered, to be that way. But the thing that we always try to check for is one, is there any radio frequencies that are coming through? And I think that's what happens with a lot of, and again, not to cast stones at any paranormal teams. If you're getting strong EMF readings, if you're getting strong RF readings, which the equipment that we use measure for pretty much all of that. If you're getting all those readings, then one, we want to understand where it's coming from. So we even go so far as to look at the lighting, the electrical outlets. What is causing this to happen? If we can find that, then and I can tell you, with the way with the way 5G is going right now with your cell phone, if you put an EMF detector right next to your phone,
Yep.
it's absurd the amount of EMF that you get off of it. So those things can, again, cause migraines. They can cause paranoia. They can cause confusion. And so those are things that we always try to look at too. Is if you're having strong EMF, first of all, it's coming from electronics. Now there have been times, and I can tell you at the Euroshrine, we had Sally the doll, and Sally the doll had very strong EMF readings, but there was nothing electronic about her. And she has been known to move, and I've actually seen people trying to move. Let's see here.
Yeah, and they can move her. And when you've got all those strong readings, the EMF readings, remember they're also feeding off of that. So
Hmm.
when you get the strong EMF readings from equipment, they're drawn to those towers. They're drawn to your phones. They're drawn to anything that will emit frequencies and energy that makes them feel good,
Hmm.
and it does.
Yeah.
They feed on it as much as they feed on people, on the
Well,
energy that people emit.
And I think that's a good point. Just for people alone, the biggest thing about us is that even though we have a lot of meat and organic parts about us, we are also very much electrical. We have a lot of water, a lot of conductivity, and a lot of electrical synapses running through us too. So there are things that can actually play into that as well too. So I did
Well,
notice that Pin Paranormal mentioned ley lines. And ley lines can definitely play a
I was
factor in
just going
that
to say
too.
this. Yep. When you do the readings that I suggested to you, I always tell people you should have a map of the ley lines
Hmm.
because the ley lines will amplify any energy that's there. If it's high energy, high frequency, it'll amplify it. If it's low, it amplifies it
Hmm.
also. It makes it stronger. So you should have a map of the ley lines. You should investigate the magnetics of the area you're in before you do an investigation because it will tell you whether you're going to get a lot of activity or less activity. It can. It doesn't limit it. I'm not going to say that because if they want to chase you, if they want to follow you and perform for you somewhere, they're going to go anywhere.
Hmm.
But that day to day, definitely places like we talked about the low energy like Appalachia, where there's coal, it's going to be low.
Hmm.
That's one of those things that just that's why it exists because that's how it's created through that lower energy, the lower frequencies, the lower vibrations. But I agree with you that you have to apply the science and understand it so that you can get a full picture.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you certainly don't want to go in there. And, we're a little bit different in that regard, too, is that, we talk to a few investigators. They say they always want to go in blind to see what they find out. We're actually quite the opposite. We want to know exactly what we're walking in through the history of the place. And really the big thing about that is that so we can create a checklist and that we can actually check that off, and say, okay, well, that's relatable or that's not relatable, especially with whenever we're using spirit boxes or any kind of apps or just seeing if there's anything that's correlated. We're actually going to a house this Saturday, and it's for Chasing Ravens Paranormal. It's their essentially their own haunted house that they use for a research center. They want to get our thoughts on it to see how we're feeling about it, what we think about it, and again, we typically find less hauntings out there than a lot of other than a lot of other folks, and that's just because whenever we go in there, and I said this, I'm not sure if you were on them, but I said that we try to debunk as we go along and try to prove that there's nothing there. So when something does happen, we can believe it a lot more. So the house that we're going into, the first thing we talked about at our meeting last night was, we're going to go in there, and even though the house is abandoned and apparently the electricity's off, we're going to check every outlet. We're going to check all that stuff just to make sure that there is no true interference that's actually coming through there.
One of the things that I always ask people, and a little common sense also. These investors, they go out to the cemetery and they go, "Oh, so and so's grave. Oh, so and so, will you communicate with us? Will you tell us what makes you think that if you pass on, you would want to hang out at your gravesite?" I mean, let's be honest.
Hmm.
What spirit who is free to roam the universe is going to hang out by its gravesite? They're not. So a
I can
little bit of common
I
sense.
can tell you personally. This is just my opinion. I have yet to go to a graveyard where there has been any form of like haunting or supernatural. And the reason why, and I had somebody tell me in the field a long time ago that going to a graveyard at that point you're just talking to the bodies because by that point the spirits probably moved on.
Well, here's the thing, though, is if there may be nobody there, but if you go there searching for them, they'll come to you
Hmm.
because there's somebody searching for them. I've walked in to a graveyard and seen a couple of dozen, and once you're there, you see them start coming, just like walking in, and by the time you turn around, there's like 2,000 of them around you.
Hmm.
They go there just for you. They're not stuck there.
So would it
So
be at that
wherever
point?
you go,
At that point, though, would that be the low frequency beings that you talk about?
oh yeah, everything that's left
Okay.
out there, everything that's left out there, I'm telling you right now, everything that is left out there that is wandering this earth, the universe, our galaxy right now, because they can't get out of this one. Everything that's out there is all low frequency. If it was high frequency, it's passed beyond our galaxy and up to wherever it is that they go to, so distant across the universe at light speeds that they are gone. All right. Anything left here is going to be the lower frequencies, but they will go to where you are. You could, that house that they're investigating in, all right, if there's nobody there, they're going to go someplace else. Now, you go to investigate, they're going to follow you. They're going to follow you there so that they can interact with you. Look at your house. Is your house haunted? Or wherever you are?
I'd like to think it's not. At least I tell myself that.
And yet there they are.
I don't mess with anything. Yeah. Yeah.
And yet there they are. But they're surrounding you because they're curious, or they want to interact, or they're watching what you do. Where a person goes is where they go. It isn't a place. They're not bound to a place. Once they're free, they go everywhere. And I tell everybody, well, they say, oh, there's portals and they travel through this portal. I said, no, it's not. It's quantum physics. It's quantum physics. They exist in one place and can exist in the other side of our galaxy or our solar system at the same time. All they have to do is think it. They're there. It is quantum physics, period. There's no doorways.
I was talking to another, and she's a newer investigator, and I believe they go by the name Country Spooks. And she was asking me about how to get into the field, and I said, well, there's going to be a lot of rules and stipulations that you'll hear from other groups. I said, but the thing is about the paranormal is that it's called the paranormal because there's nothing normal about it.
Exactly.
So whatever research methodologies that you use for it, really, there are no essential. The rule is that there are no rules. The only thing I would just encourage is don't be disrespectful. Don't go in there and just try to rattle a cage to get a rise or reaction. Don't run around crazy and screaming. Just be patient. It's kind of like fishing. It may bite every now and then. It's three of my team members. They don't believe at all, and then John and I, we are the believers. It's just it takes a little bit more to convince me of what I'm actually seeing on that end too. Now you say that these are entities that want to interact, and the way that you've described the night is, I wouldn't say in a negative light, but do you think that there are good spirits out there, or good things out there?
There are less bad than others. There are those that they're not evil, they're not violent. They're just people that didn't live good lives, that maybe weren't healthy. Their soul was already weak, perhaps from a previous life. And they didn't even realize that they were damaged. A lot of people through habitual drug use damage themselves, alcohol. And if they're already weak, it's going to damage them to the point that they can't cross over. So I'm not saying that those people are evil or dark, but then you have those that do cross over that are dark and more violent. And imagine living as just a energy, not having a physical form for hundreds, even thousands of years. What does that do to a consciousness? It affects them. It darkens them over time. Those who may not have started evil or dark, or whatever term you want to use, can over time become darker. Just simply because of the situation that they're in.
Do you think that there's redemption past that? Do you think in the spirit world that no, really? So there's no ascension past that.
I can tell you, I've already been shown. Once the damage is done, it's done. There is no crossing them over later. There is no helping them out of there, and that's why they are constantly battling to keep the energy down here so they could survive. The higher the energy goes, the frequencies go up, it damages them. It sucks the life out of them. And it can actually, over time, even destroy them. And that's why they want to, here's a word for you, terraform the planet to a level that they can exist in and they could thrive in. So again, it goes back to the science of it. it's paranormal to us. It isn't paranormal to these beings, the higher powers that are out there that are monitoring our situation.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, humanity has to go through all these hurdles in order to develop, to strengthen, and to move into the next phase of human evolution. It's like somebody who goes to a gym that's 100 pounds. He's going to have to do the work. He's going to have to do the exercises in order to build muscle. And this, unfortunately, is part of our developing of our consciousness, is going through violence, going through warfare, going through challenges in society, in relationships. Everything that we struggle with
Mm-hmm.
makes us stronger. And that is part of the purpose of this. In our strengthening ourselves, we will destroy them. They will eventually fade away. And we can cleanse the planet of them, but it takes millennia, actually. It takes millennia. But so again, I go back to the scientific side of it. It's something that we don't understand, that people in the past didn't understand any science, so they attributed it to witchcraft and to little fairies and giants and the mystical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as we are understanding frequencies more and energy, we can start to see the tie-in. We can start to see that it's not all quite paranormal. We just don't understand it yet.
Well, it's kind of like cryptozoology. When folks say, "Well, what happens whenever we find Bigfoot?" To me, and I say, "Well, Bigfoot stops being a cryptid and it starts being an animal." Anything that's called cryptozoology is anything just really the undiscovery of a creature that we perceive to be real. But once it enters into that, we call it zoology. So I guess if the paranormal, if you can prove the paranormal, it's no longer para, it's just normal, and it's just reality at that point. So I guess on that end, you would almost say that it's parasitic in nature. Like these are almost like parasitic beings.
Yeah.
Okay.
They absolutely are. They absolutely are. And I keep saying, well, I don't understand this. Well, you're not meant to understand it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, and they try to explain it in a way that my mind at the level that I'm at here can understand it. All right, think of it this way or think of it that way. It'll give you a better, idea of what you're dealing with. But what we can read and what the image that I kept getting, what I was shown, think of frequencies, okay, on a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
You get from one range to the other. I don't even know what's on them anymore, but say 100 to 200. Okay, let's say you have that broad a band on a radio. And if you have more sensitive equipment, you can pick up some more bands outside of that, right?
Yeah.
Right. We only have limited access to certain frequencies. We can only measure so much. Now, they out there can measure what we measure 200, they're looking at 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they have the science and the ability to look at those frequencies. They can see things that we can't even begin to imagine. They can pick things up that we can't begin to imagine. They can measure things that we don't even know exists. We don't comprehend. So it is science. It's just that we don't have the technology to be able to read it. And we just have to broaden our minds a little bit and think outside of our limitations right now. And if we could do that, I think it would help us all when we investigate these things to not take the folklore as concrete evidence. Well, a bunch of Native Americans died here, so it must be them haunting it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So-and-so was hung here at these gallows, and she's the one that... No, open your mind to other possibilities, and don't get stuck in this this narrative or these stories. It's hard for me to explain it, but I think you get my idea that we mentally latch onto that because it's a way for us to explain it, and then we can't imagine anything more.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing about folklore and really stories being passed down through time and time and time again, is that I believe that every bit of it starts with some truth, and then like anything, and it used to be a game that we used to play as a kid. You tell one person that you get in a big circle, you'd whisper something in somebody else's ear, they'd whisper the same thing,
Exactly.
and by the time you get to the end, you have a completely different,
Yeah,
story about what was a true scenario once upon a time.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
All right.
You know, the,
Go ahead.
well, I'm going. No, I was just going to tell you one of the my favorite ones, and I'm sure you've heard it, is that these things come in through a mirror, and you can't face two mirrors to each other
I've
because
heard
it
that a
opens.
lot. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
I don't know where the story came from, but those are the type of things that I say, throw that all out.
Yeah.
Throw all of those thoughts
A
out.
lot of my team gets spooked out about the big mirror behind me. Um, so it's I just really love that mirror. It's a beautiful mirror. So it's yeah, I love the frame on it. So whenever we were renovating the house, I didn't want to get rid of that mirror. Um, so I got to ask you one last question because we are going on an hour and a half right now, and we're
Oh,
about
wow.
11:30. I'm going to ask you one last question just to ease my anxiety.
Sure.
These things that you see around me, am I good, or is my aura good? Is everything looking kosher? Am I
Yes,
good? Okay.
you're fine.
Okay.
You're
All right.
fine. You actually have very good energy, and
Okay.
you've
Good.
got
Good.
great frequencies. You're absolutely fine. They may walk around, they may do things,
Yeah.
but to physically damage you,
Yeah.
no, they can't.
Okay. Good.
You're
Good.
strong
Good.
enough to withstand all of that. I can see that.
All right. Good. Good.
So,
That makes me feel a lot better. All right. Well, Elena, thank you so much. I've had a ton of fun
oh,
with you.
thank
You've been a very
you.
interesting guest, and but we're going to go ahead and let you go and wrap it up for the
Yeah.
Wendibros. But thank you so much, and don't be a stranger.
No, I definitely won't. I'll stop by sometime in the future, and we'll talk again.
Absolutely. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Take care.
You too.
Bye bye.
And goodbye to Elena, and thank you so much for tuning in on that. Guys, this has been a very lengthy episode. I didn't actually expect it to be this lengthy, but and what I wanted to say is that we had quite a few viewers in here tonight, and it's been very surprising for our first live. And I think a total of 65 viewers, 3 gifts, so thank you for that. And then 4,214 likes, so that's and 3 gifts. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, and a big thank you to Elena for hopping in and for everybody taking the time to listen to her and I talk for probably about 45 minutes. But yeah, we'll continue doing this, and I'll try to make it as daily as I can within a busy schedule. Friday or Saturday, we will be investigating a location out in Churchill, Tennessee, which is supposed to be a pretty haunted area. Thank you, Wasabi, for that. But yeah, so we'll be investigating an area. And for those of you that don't know, Wasabi Continuum is actually a member of the Wendibros. So she has been a great behind the scenes person. She produces a lot of ideas for us and kind of keeps us on our toes. The Wendibros consist of myself, one of the founding members, John Fluce, who is another founding member, Greg Smith, and Casey Williams, along with Christy Herbert, who are all Wendibros. So, and in our verbiage, everybody is a bro. So it doesn't matter of gender, you are a bro no matter what. So I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a great live, a lot better than I expected. We had some technical difficulties starting out, and a lot of me just rambling at first while I was trying to get my bearings. The awkward weirdo in the episodes, yeah, well, you're just shy. You're just shy along with Casey. So if you haven't checked us out, you can check us out on TikTok. We have a lot of shorts on there. We do have one full episode where we talk to author Dorian J. Sinnott, so make sure you check out his books. I think they'd make a great Christmas stocking stuffer if you're looking for a good holiday-themed horror novel, where he talks to us about a time slip that he went through. So we're a little bit different. We do a lot of interviews. We just listen to people's stories, and then we also go out and we investigate too. So this is the whole point of Share Your Weird Live. If you ever catch us at a convention in your town, this is what we do. We actually set up a recording booth at conventions, and then we let people come and and come and speak to us. Ava, that girl 23. Yeah, we are ending the live, unfortunately, but yeah, make sure that you stay tuned. We'll be live again. For anything that you would like to check out, we are also on YouTube. We're on pretty much everything. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can find our full episodes on YouTube. Thank you for the roses, and I think thank you for the cats. I'm not sure what that is. Is that a hamster? TikTok's so weird. But yeah, we are on Spotify. So if you're looking for full episodes, we are on Spotify, and we are also on YouTube for long form content. Our Euroshrine episode is over 2 hours long. And that was our most successful episode. And we have tons of shorts and reels and TikToks that can keep you occupied. I think whenever I did the math, we have 30 hours of content. So that's insane to say. We've been around since 2023, and we just started having a social media presence in 2025. And it's been huge growth for us since June, since our first convention. We have expanded from I think 37 followers all the way up to over 1,000 across the board. I think we're getting ready to hit 1,500 bros out there. So thank you all for that. We greatly appreciate all the support, and all your support helps us to continue doing what we're doing. So guys, love you guys. Hope that you and you heard Elena talk about it tonight. Make sure that you meditate. Make sure you take care of that mental health, and that way you can keep the spooky, creepy things that go bump in the night away from you. So yeah, take care of it. Make sure you hydrate. Make sure you take care of yourself. Exercise. Meditate. I got to do all those things. I've been slacking in that department, but I'm glad Elena gave me the clearance on that. But she was a great guest. So guys, we are going to end the live, and I'm sure we will be back very soon. So this has been a lot of fun for our first time back in a podcast style format, really a live show format. So. And maybe we'll have a couple extra Wendibros on next time. So thank you guys so much, and take care of yourselves.